On this edition of Alphabet Movie Collection, I'll be sharing with you some of the movies from my collection, beginning with the letter E. Hey, it's me, AP, aka Mr. Movie Cheer, and welcome back to another video. So, letter E of Alphabet Movie Collection. This has been a bit of a tough one, I'll be honest with you. This was really scraping the barrel when it comes to movies, beginning with the letter E. I've bent the rules a bit on this one just to get it through this video, but you know what? I'll explain why I'm bending the rules when I get to the certain movies, but yeah, it's still though. I still feel like I've got a solid list of movies here, some really good ones, and I've definitely avoided there was one in the collection I did avoid, which I could have easily put in there, but this is where I bent the rules a bit for one movie to go in because I thought it was a really good movie. But anyway, let's get to it. Let's get to the movies, beginning with the letter E. So the first movie I'm going to discuss is Escape to Victory, starring Sylvester Stallone, Michael Caine, Max von Sydow, and Pele. Yeah, this is a football movie set during World War II, and basically it's kind of like The Great Escape meets football. They're on like this prisoner of war camp, and they have this big charity football match, and then they, plan to escape during the match at some point, and I'm not going to reveal whether they escape or not, what's the ending, but I will say, this is a really good Stallone movie. I think in like the US it's actually called Victory, this movie, but in the UK it was called Escape to Victory. Really, really good movie. I think for me, because I'm a big fan of like movies like The Great Escape, this one always just, I absolutely loved it. I always enjoyed this movie. I think it feels like as well, it's like kind of like an underrated Stallone movie. I never hear this mentioned. When I hear about Stallone movies, it's always kind of like, the obvious ones like Rambo's, your Rockies. I never hear this mentioned that much, this movie, and it's a shame because it is a great movie, and it's got a lot of actual football stars included in it. Like I said, Pele. There's a few. I think what's the guy who was I'm going to forget his name now, but I'm pretty sure the guy who won the World Cup and he was like the West Ham captain. I honestly, my brain is just boo, it's gone. But yeah, that guy's in, and there's a few more players in this who were actual footballers. But yeah, really good movie. If you like Great Escape, I think you'll like this one. The next movie I am going to discuss is Escape from Planet of the Apes. That is right. Escape from Planet of the Apes. So basically, I think it was like the third movie in the original movies that came out. The premise of this one is basically the apes, a few of the apes escape Planet of the Apes when it's about to be destroyed, basically. And they go back in time to human time, planet Earth, and then they arrive, and it's kind of like a reverse of the first Planet of the Apes movie, where like you get the humans arriving on Planet of the Apes. Now it's the apes arrive on the planet of the humans. I will say this one is probably not my favourite Planet of the Apes movie. I'll be honest with you, this. Out of the original ones, the first one is by far my favourite. I think it is just an absolute stunning movie. From start to finish, it's just a great story. This one is... I feel like they get a bit cheesier. And this is like the height of the cheesiness of the Planet of the Apes movies. I do feel like I look at the newer movies and I think they're just like absolutely solid. All the way through that trilogy, I think they're really well done movies. These kind of like went off. It feels like every movie of the Planet of the Apes ones in the original movies kind of had their own like style to each movie, and this was very like, the apes arrive and they're like kind of like shopping around for clothes, and then there's like one scene where she gets drunk and stuff, one of the female apes and stuff like that, and it's kind of like a cheesy like 80s soap opera at times. Some cheesy music on there as well, but it kind of ends on a very dramatic scenes and dramatic. It has that moment at the end where it feels like more like a Planet of the Apes movie. It has that drama to it. But yeah, I still think it's a good movie. I do like the original ones. And Escape from Planet of the Apes. The next movie I am going to discuss is Equilibrium. The next movie I am going to discuss is Equilibrium. Equilibrium. The next movie I am going to discuss is Equilibrium. That was a hard one for me to say. So Equilibrium, basically this stars Christian Bale. It's like a science fiction dystopian future story, basically, where he plays like this officer in this like sort of like law over there, where you can't have emotions, you can't have feelings, and anyone who has like feelings or emotions or artistic expression is kind of like put down and put in place, and basically is one of the offers over there. And then you get this like really good like science fiction action movie, a really good science fiction story. Now I will say this one is out of the movie collection. It is in my my DVD wallet, this in the way, so it's not in the main collection. But for the life of me, I can't find the case to this. I must have been doing. The only thing I can think of is I was doing a video on this at some point, and it's hidden away somewhere. I've just looked past it in the collection, but I can't find the case for Equilibrium. So it's going to be one of those, if I don't find it at some point soon, I'm just going to get a new... I've seen it at a charity shop recently, so I'm just going to pick it up at a charity shop if I can't find the case. So I'm holding it like this, just so you know. There'll be people cursing me now, like, how dare you? How dare you not have the case to Equilibrium? But yeah, it's a really good movie. I think this was a movie that had a lot of... similarities in style to, I'd say, like a Matrix. I think it was very much compared to like the Matrix at the time, this movie. Don't know whether it came out after or maybe like the same. I'm pretty sure it was like a few years later after the Matrix. But yeah, some great action scenes, a really good science fiction story. Equilibrium is a great movie, and I'm a big fan of Christian Bale. I think his performances in movies are always solid, and this one is no different. A really good performance, and this is before he takes on the role of Batman in Batman Begins. Great movie. Equilibrium starts with a letter E. The next movie I am going to discuss is a Christmas movie, and it is Elf. That's right, Elf. Now, I will say, Will Ferrell stars in this. I like Will Ferrell, big Will Ferrell fan. I'm just not a big fan of Christmas movies in general. It's just one of those where I'll watch a few over Christmas time, but I'm not all in on them. It's just not my jam, really. But this is one I watched kind of like, I remember watching it maybe when it came out, bits, and maybe watched it on TV or something, and didn't watch it for years. And I watched it like a year or two ago now, and you know what? It is a really funny movie, this, in its own right. And I think it's probably one of my favourite Christmas movies now. And that, and like the Santa Claus, that is good. I like the, is it the Santa Claus, the one with Dudley Moore in that? I think, is that Santa Claus? I always think, there's that many. And then there's the one with Tim Allen in, which is the Santa Claus. I don't know. I think it's just called Santa Claus, isn't it? The one with Dudley Moore where he's an elf. But anyway, I'm off on a different road. Let's go to Elf. Yeah, it's a really fun movie. Basically, he stars as this elf who's like kind of like taken on by Father Christmas, Santa Claus, as a kid from like a children's orphanage, and then he's brought up as an elf, but he's an actual human. And then he goes on search for his real father in New York, and then we see like him, this overgrown man-child played by Will Ferrell going into the outside world for the first time. And it's a really funny movie, a fun story. And Elf is another one beginning with the letter E. I thought, let's throw it in here for Alphabet Movie Collection. Now, the next movie I am going to discuss is The Equalizer. And talking about, at the start of the video, bending the rules on movies, this is where I'm talking about it. I was bending the rules on this one because I really like this movie, and I thought it's probably one where when I get to the letter T, there's going to be other movies out there. And I thought, I always call this Equalizer anyway, so I thought, I'm going to bend the rules. I'm making these videos, I'm bending the rules. That's the way it goes, isn't it? If you make the videos, you get to bend the rules if you want. If you're making some videos out there, I go for it. I encourage you to bend the rules as much as you possibly want. But yeah, Denzel Washington stars as the Equalizer, and there was the TV show back in, was it like the 80s now? I think it's the 80s, starring the British guy, was it Summit Woodward? Is it Edward Woodward? Something like that. This is like a taking the name inspiration from that show. I think it's very different probably from that show, a lot darker, a lot grittier. It's very much like very in the same lane as like a Taken, this movie. And basically Denzel plays this guy who comes and does like sort of like jobs when there's something someone else can't do, and he's the equalizer. He equals it for other people. So if people are having like getting hurt by criminals and they can't do anything to beat down these criminals. He comes in and equals the game, basically. And he's just like, he's great at combat. I think he's like an ex, like a CIA, or like he's an ex agent of some sort. And it's just a great movie. And there's some great action scenes in this. I remember the warehouse scene at the end of this movie is super cool. And it's like there's rain pouring. Well, it's not rain. It's like from the water, like sprinklers and stuff coming down, and it's just a great action scene, great like maybe like 10-15 minute action scene. Really great movie. I like the sequel as well. It's not quite as good as the first one, but the first one is amazing, but the second one is a decent watch as well. The Equalizer, a superb one from the movie collection behind me. So the final movie, beginning with the letter E, I'm going to discuss is Escape from New York, directed by John Carpenter, starring Kurt Russell. Basically, this movie, the plot of the movie is Snake Plissken is like this, he's like this outlaw, this notorious outlaw, former special forces guy, and basically the island, New York is like this prison, and basically the president is, I think his helicopter gets shot down, and they've got to send in someone. They send in Snake, and he's got to go and rescue the president within like 24 hours. Great movie. I love this movie. I will say, some of my favourite parts of the movie is the score. The score is just so cool in this. John Carpenter did the score for the movie as well. And straight away when the movie hits in, you hear that score of Escape from New York, and it is just absolutely fantastic. I love the style, the visual look of this movie. It's awesome. Absolutely awesome. Kurt Russell is amazing in this role. Escape from LA is another one I kind of like. This is where I put the Equalizer instead of Escape from LA. It's not a bad movie, but I think the first one is the best one. It's my favourite, definitely. And I thought this was just a great movie to end this list of movies beginning with the letter E with, because it's just a classic, an absolute classic movie. What year was this out? It was out in 1981. So it's was it over 40 years old now? That is crazy, but it's still a solid movie. Definitely, if you've never watched Escape from New York, give it a watch. For the score alone, it is amazing. But yeah, and that is it. That is the final movie of this list of movies beginning with the letter E. So I just want to do a bit of a final roundup of these movies and pick out two of my favourites. And I think I am going to go with The Equalizer, starring Denzel Washington. I think he is just an incredible actor, and he is just solid in this role as this action role in this movie. And then, we've got Escape from New York as well. Kurt Russell, John Carpenter directed movie. Another favourite of mine in my movie collection here, beginning with the letter E. Both movies are really gritty, I would say. Very gritty movies, but right up my street, these two. Both of them action, grittiness. Ooh, this is some juicy ones beginning with the letter E here. I really like both of these movies. So that's it for another edition of Alphabet Movie Collection. I hope you enjoyed the choices from the collection behind me. And let me know some of your favourite picks from your collection beginning with the letter E. What have you got in your collection? What are some of your favourites? And let me know your thoughts on my choices of movies beginning with the letter E today in this video. Thank you very much for watching, ladies and gents. Remember to spread a bit of movie cheer. And as always, I will see you next time.